let's take this to the responsibility to protect. I mean, in some ways, the responsibility to protect, one could say, was an effort to put the squirm factor on statesmen, that every country in the world has now said that they feel that they have an obligation to protect citizens from the 4 basic crimes which I outlined. So, Secretary, give us your quick assessment of how do you think it's worked in practice?
Well, I think it is a very important concept, and it evolved, frankly, out of what happened in the Balkans and in Somalia. That they're starting with the first President Bush of looking at Somalia and thinking that something had to be done there as a humanitarian mission. The opposite actually happened in Bosnia, where they were not interested in doing anything. And at that stage, Governor Clinton had said that we would do something, and then it took him a very long time to do it, frankly, and partially because it was hard to persuade people that it was in our strategic interest that we do something about it. So there was an evolution in terms of doing more in the Balkans and more in Somalia, and we failed in Rwanda, but we began to kind of look at what the methodology was. And then that evolved into, and it really has been an international thing. It hasn't just been the United States. The Canadians have played a very important role in this, in looking at human security. What do you do about people? You're the ones that you write about in terms of what happens during peacekeeping operations. And then that was picked up by Gareth Evans from Australia in terms of creating this much larger concept about responsibility to protect. I think it is a very important concept because it does go to the point of, if we know everything that's going on and we detest it, why don't we do something about it? The problem with it is, and it's exactly what you said, Nick, is who does it? And then you said this, Rich, in terms of how you mobilize the opinion. And then, so what is the tool for taking care of it? So first thing you have to do under it is to get a Security Council resolution. That is part of what goes on. And what happens is certain countries do not like to have interference in their domestic affairs. So you have a problem in creating the mandate for it. And then the issue is who actually carries it out. And the criticism of R2P is that it is a Trojan horse for just invading countries. And so it has been hard, I think, to explain that that is not what it is, that it actually has 3 pillars to it. One is, as you mentioned, that it's the responsibility. A leader of a country, the very responsibility is to protect the people. And then if they're not doing that, the second pillar is to try to get to help the leader to figure it out. And the third, finally, is some kind of intervention, which does not necessarily have to be military intervention. But it's still, I think the hard part about it is that third part, because who carries it out? Is it NATO? Is it the Arab League? What's the tool that actually does it? So in our study, we're beginning to look at what we can do of not getting to that final point and doing much more in the first and second pillars. And the purpose of really the thing that we're working on with the Holocaust Museum and the U.S. Institute of Peace is to try to explain this concept more so that it doesn't look like it's just interfering, but it is worrying about the fact that if we know something terrible is going on, that we can't sit there and watch it and trying to figure out what the tool is to make it work.